I'm going to give you this shorthand overview of what I think the recovery process is like. And we're not going to try to do all this on this one weekend. We're going to focus on a bit of it. But I think it's kind of interesting to see that there are a number of parts to it. And also to realize that it's pretty extensive. And to realize what you're dealing with. Because a big thing in your healing is to have some compassion for yourself. And then to take baby steps in giving yourself a lot of reinforcement, getting the support you need, doing the things that you need, and making some progress. Okay? So some of the things on here will be things that you're familiar with, others may not, and you may not be familiar with the way that I put it, but I'll be interested in what you have to say too. Okay? So, Steps to Recovery by Marlene Winell. This is not in my book. 1. Get real. And by that I mean recognize, finally, being honest with yourself, that your religion isn't working. And this is confronting the idea that you keep getting told that if it's not working for you, you have to go back and try harder. And so this part is sometimes the hardest step, to just get real about what's going on. And then to stop forcing it to make sense, to stop twisting yourself into pretzels, trying to make the Bible not contradict itself, and so forth. And then to have a look at life and accept it the way it is. Accept the world as it is. Okay? And stop trying to live in a parallel universe. I mean, this whole religious, we call it a subculture, it's also, I think, sometimes a bit of a parallel universe. I mean, it's filled with angels and devils and spiritual warfare and this timeline of how it got started in 7 days and all these magical things that happened along the way, and then it's going to end with these amazing beings that are going to, 4 horsemen, and Jesus coming out of the sky and people rising naked to meet him, and then they're going to come back and rule for 1,000 years, and different versions of that. So it's all quite fantastic. And then meanwhile, you're supposed to just kind of live a normal life, but you kind of bounce back and forth between these two worlds. They're like parallel universes. So getting real means to kind of to let go of that and just be here in this world, be real, and accept the fact that this is it. This is reality. It's not perfect, but this is what we're dealing with. That we're also ordinary people, we're animals on the earth with a lot of other species, and this is our planet, and this is your life. Okay? 2 is get a grip. And by this I simply mean don't panic. This is not as bad as it seems, because usually when people are starting to try to do this, they get really scared. The first part of this process can feel really scary. Anxiety is the biggest thing that people feel when they're starting to leave their religion, because there's all kinds of things to be afraid of. So getting a grip means to not panic. The fear that you're feeling is part of the indoctrination. All those messages about what will happen to you if you leave are a self-serving part of the belief system, right? Both what will happen to you after you die and what will happen to you right now. You'll become a drug addict, you'll become a murderer, terrible things, you'll become depressed and kill yourself. And you won't have any friends because the church was your community and everybody out there is really mean and awful. The world is a dangerous place. So, getting a grip means to calm down, don't panic, and that you're going to be fine. Lots of other people have been through this. Okay? 3 is get informed. Okay, so one of the things that you really need is more information, because a lot of what's gone on in the indoctrination process is a withholding of information from you. You haven't been allowed to read other kinds of books, you haven't been exposed to other religions, maybe you were homeschooled and you weren't allowed to even look at evolution, you weren't allowed to have friends that were non-Christian, or whatever the isolation was. It's forced ignorance. And to varying degrees, like maybe you chose to participate in that, but nevertheless your information has been narrow. And so now you need to inform yourself. And you can inform yourself in lots of ways. You can read books of all kinds, you can read history, you can read psychology, sociology, mythology, all kinds of things like that to find out about the knowledge that's in the world, and there's a tremendous amount of it available. And in particular, you need to inform yourself about the Bible. How did it get put together? Usually people don't know much about that. You were just saying, here's the Bible, as if it's one book, and it just came from God. God's the author, and it was published somewhere in heaven. So find out about the Bible. And also find out about her church history, and find out about Jewish history, and all the things that have gone, when people say that old-time religion, what was it exactly? Okay? And that's all very, very informative. And then also read people that have deconverted and have explained why. Some of those books that, from ex-ministers, or, they've done a pretty good job of explaining what they've learned about all this reading and research. Okay, if you don't want to read a million books. Some people have, and they've tried to synthesize it down and report what they found out. And so you can get the benefit of their research. And also online, read other people's stories about what they've experienced. Right now, not unlike years ago, there are lots and lots of stories from people that are happy to share their information and reasons. Okay, just like testimonials on the Christian side. Okay, so 4 is get help. Find support any way you can. And this is important because you are probably losing your support system if you're not going to church anymore. You can join online forums to discuss with other people. You can find a supportive group in your area. There are all these meetup groups that you can find out about, people that you can gather with and who will do social things together and who will understand some of what you've been through, kind of this weekend. And if necessary, find a therapist who understands. And if they don't, give them my book. That's actually serious. People do get the book and give it to their therapist. And most therapists, like myself, if I have a client that is going through something I'm not that familiar with, I'll do my homework. And therapists will do that.
My therapist ordered your book.
Yeah. So then do the work that is needed to heal the wounds of the religious abuse you've been through. And so healing those wounds and also facing some of the existential dilemmas that your religion got you out of. So your religion has a lot of perks, and one of them is to give you all the answers so that you don't directly face the hard parts about being a human being, such as mortality, such as being responsible for your life and your own choices, or seeking God's will, such as finding real connection, such as meaning. You don't face those things as something that's your responsibility, and also just part of the fact that you're a human being on the earth and this is what life is. you want it to be better. And it's back to that magical thinking and that fantasy life that religious people create in order to avoid some of the hard parts of just being human and being on earth with everything else.